Alright, back on the core support again. I'm going to weld in this piece that I got primed. I got my weld through primer put on, epoxy prime the back side and the front side, so we're ready to clamp it in and weld it in. So here we go. So this is just the clamping part. This is the tedious part. Good thing about this one is I've got the original spot weld holes that I drilled out and the indentations in the original core support that I can use to line up very accurately, actually, exactly where it came from originally. Normally I'd have to measure and figure out some other methods, but here I'm using my original cut marks, indentations, to my complete advantage. I will double check. I will double check with a tape measure because it'd be dumb not to. The critical measurement here to check is the center hole of the core support mounts, which I believe was 33 inches. I got it written down somewhere. But I think it was 33. So all I'm doing now is just getting my initial clamping started, basically to get left and right measurement established so I can begin clamping to, sink down and get my edges level, or the same plane, whatever fancy word you want to use. Oh, clamps. One clamp I'm looking for is hidden somewhere, probably staring me right in the face and I can't see it. Lord only knows. Alright, I'm on a clamp hunt, so give me a minute. And I found it, just that quick. I don't know that I think I probably showed all this clamping gymnastics earlier on the other side. This is probably pretty boring to watch, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and film it. Just in case some guys are out there that, are kind of lost when it comes to this kind of stuff. Let me check my center here. .33. So yeah, we're right on. We're right on. Actually, yeah, that looks good. I just want to go and keep on showing. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm not doing again. I'm using the square tube across the back side and bottom. Pull it straight from here. I'll do that as soon as I get my basic clamp started. I could go up the same edge first up here. Where that's going to be better. But if that's just down in, that might be different. So I'm not going to do that. Okay. Everything looks pretty good. That's the initial clamp. That's what I'm going to do. Get that two now. Like this. Bottom had about 16 on the end. It's been that way. Here's that part. And it probably left a little. It could have been that way. Hard enough. Just check. Let me see my inside. I can't see it. I'm scared. So we're straight there. Everything is straight. I like that. So just an inch or possible. Just 4 wall. 6 2 2. It'll come bottom. Zip will not flex. Just this. The other thing I got, I think, probably 6 hours. 2, 16 8. I can't look at it. It will flex a little bit. pour that on in. Get this clamp so it's not moving. I'm leaving a ledge on the back side. I'm not leaving it on. That's legal. That's not what I want. So, yeah, let me cut this. Pull that down. I gotta pull that from it. One thing I generally do, and I forgot to do it the other day when I welded some other spot welds, I've got a die grinder bit. It's a 1/4 inch die grinder bit. It has teeth on the back side or flat side, top side as well as the sides. Generally, I'll run this die grinder bit in the hole and chase out the weld through primer in the spot weld or the plug weld hole, just to give me a clean piece of metal. Like I said, the copper weld through for me usually works pretty good. It does still spit and splatter, and if I get it on a little too thick or if I don't let it dry long enough, it will sometimes fight me. This is just something I do, and I forgot to do it before. So all I'm going to do right quick, I know you can't see most of this, I'm just running the die grinder bit in the hole to clean it up a little bit, clean the weld through out. I'm not going to do it nothing. Now, I'm really a full plug weld in. After that, the whole plug weld is rewelded. So I always take the die grinder bit, the whole plug weld. I'm pretty sure I did that. I leave that all yet. I leave it off in your heart. I didn't get me. Anyway, these are just what I'm doing. This ain't the fault. I don't have a third job. And one here. Take that up. Keep it down. So there's my 3/4 inch. So like I said, I'm gonna start on this edge up here because I want these corners to line up, and they line up pretty good right now. Now that's where I want it. I can pull this clamp loose. Okay. And then pull these two. I really should tack this piece up here in place, but if I don't, I've got it clamped. I don't think it'll move. I guess I'm gonna find out. Anyway, what I'm doing now is just clamping this bottom. At this point, it's probably not going to do me a whole lot of good as far as moving anything into being straight. Like I said, it's only out about 1/16 of an inch across the whole. This core support's 6 feet long, 5 feet long, 5 feet wide. So I'm just trying to prevent it from getting any worse. If when I weld, it may or may not decide to walk. This here is the last weld. You know, it can bow. When you cut it, it can do this. So this is the last weld here to prevent that from happening. Once I weld that, it should be pretty rigid. So that's why I'm trying to take every precaution I can to keep it straight, to get it straight and keep it straight while I'm welding it together. And while I'm here, I'm going to pull that clamp off. It's in the way. Plus I don't need it now. Now I can go in here and clean out these couple of plug weld holes. A lot of people use 1/4 inch. I feel a 1/4 inch is a little small. If you don't get a perfect weld bead when it starts welding that 1/4 inch hole up, but you know, if you the bead goes off or whatever, you don't have a really good chance to get a good bead. You know, actually you could weld it up and not get a plug weld, just welding the hole up. 5/16 is much more likely to get a nice plug weld. I've even gone to 3/8 on some things that are highly structural. Don't really think of any good examples in my brain, but you could go out to 3/8 if you wanted to. Certainly wouldn't hurt anything. The plug weld, any spot weld that the spot weld hole cutter drills out is 3/8 anyway. So all these up here are already 3/8, which is not going to hurt a thing. All right, let me clamp. Let's put one more clamp. Put one more clamp down there. Could put one right here. I don't know that it's necessary, but I guess it wouldn't hurt. Let me do a couple of spots with plug welds. I might move that clamp around. I'm going to start welding these plug welds up on the back side first, because obviously I can't get to these now. I covered them up. But these I can get to, of course. I'm going to go ahead and start there. And then out here where this seam is, start working it down. That clamp. There we go. Another clamping puzzle. I talked about that enough. They sure can be a puzzle sometimes. Alright. Here we go. Okay. That was that seam. Let's get a couple plug welds out on the edges, the end. That's one I didn't grind yet. Let's get this one over here if I can. Okay, here we go. That was a clamp. That was uncalled for. Okay. Get this outer edge. See what I forgot to do? I forgot to grind the primer off the outside of those welds. I need to do that. Give me a moment to do that. These welds over here on the end are they're at the edge of the panel and actually hang off, so I've got to weld a little bit of extra speed at the end that I grind down and make that look right. Although nobody but me is ever going to know it. But it's just how I do things. I can sometimes be overly picky about stuff. I'm definitely a perfectionist, and I admit it. That can sometimes get in the way, especially when you're trying to do stuff. If you're charging people and trying to do stuff, you know, in a hurry, not in a hurry, but in a timely manner, getting hung up on some little details, not always, you know, the best for that, but it's just how I am. I've been this way my whole life. I'm certainly not going to change now, nor do I want to. I would much rather do something right, as good as I can do it, and pardon my language, and then half-ass it. I just don't do that. My dad was like that. I'm just like him, not half-assing things. So it's just how I am. On the wrong side. I don't know if I'll ever do any side work again. In other words, I've still got a full-time job, full-time career, thankfully. I haven't done side work for people in, golly, 20 years, maybe more. It's been a long time. I'm kind of thinking I'd like to do it again, maybe. like I mentioned before, my dad was over 20 years ago, airlines. He taught me when I was 17. I think my first flight truck car vehicle. I was 17. I was 17 and had to do welding. He taught me about welding before. I said before, he didn't have any. Anyway, I can see my dad, you know, talking about putting his my dad, he just, I'm hearing that, and I'm having that thing that he would have, so, yeah, I can see that, but it's just not, you know, it's not good. That's a crappy wheel, I can do it when you go around me and 14 hours, that's a wheel. Don't have to control that way. Let ground will fix it. I don't like it, ground will fix it. I got this like a little bit out here. You can leave your welding there. Hold on, miss. Okay, that's what's over there on that side. You can see down here. Right. The bottom I'm going to stand up to weld it up, stand the core support up, because not only is it vertical welding, it's also a gap, which makes it doubly hard to do. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to let that cool, grind a little bit, then I'll unclamp it and we'll weld the bottom. So I'll be back when we start doing some of that. I'm not going to show grinding welds. You've seen that weld grinding. Nothing special, it's just grinding welds. Okay, on the subject of grinding, here's another thing I picked up from guys on YouTube that I had never thought about doing. I've shown grinding welds in corners and hard to reach places with a die grinder, this wheel. We used to call them this wheels. I guess we still do. I still do. This wheel bit. I never thought about upsizing it and using the bigger grinding wheels, like this is a 4.5 inch or a 4-inch cutting wheel. It never occurred to me to do that. I've seen several guys on YouTube doing it. So that's a good idea. And I really like it. The thing I do different, those guys, they're all using electric grinders, which don't have variable speed. I use my air grinders. This grinder was my dad's grinder. This thing has got to be 40 years old. And if you could hear it running, that bearing in there is noisy as it can be. Anyway, my other grinder, my snap-on grinder, that is probably, well, it's 30 years old, at least. You know, I use this thing for every day for years and really kept it old. Anyway, not that that one wasn't. Anyway, so I've got two air grinders. This gives me the luxury of having one for the normal grinding that I've been doing every day and this kind of stuff. And it's variable speed, so I can cut the speed down. Anyway, so I was grinding this corner down here, and it dawned on me I couldn't get my die grinder in there. So I thought, well, I'll just try this, and this works like a champ. So I wish I'd thought of that years ago, and I can't take credit for it. I saw the other guys doing it. So anyway, I just wanted to show that. That's a pretty handy trick. One thing I did want to make sure and show to prove that I did it is dressing up this edge here. I've already ground it down with the grinder. I took my die grinder disc, this wheel, ground back up in here like I showed before. Now for the pièce de résistance. Yes, I'm going to put the file on it. I want you to see me do it, so you can't say I didn't do it. Because I'm doing it. To dress up that nasty edge. And by nasty, I mean grinder marks. exactly straight. The file will take the bit of waviness of the grinder leaves in there, file it right out. I guess if I can convince just one person to try this, that's right now sitting at home laughing at me putting a file on these welds, at least one of y'all will try it and say, no, that does look pretty darn good. And this is not, I mean, yeah, I like doing it here. But unfortunately, I've already done all the panel gaps on my Ford. I welded and filed every panel gap on that truck. Hood, the doors, fenders, it's all been welded and filed. There's no filler on the edges of any of those panel gaps. I was talking before about a lot of body guys will build up edges with filler. I don't do that. I didn't do it back when I was doing collision repair, and I still won't do it. Now, I guess there are times when, in collision repair, when you maybe have to bite the bullet. Maybe I did once or twice. Because you are under time constraints a lot of times. Well, all the time, really. But this kind of work, this stuff, for myself, or stuff that's not collision repair, I won't do it. I'll do whatever. I'll weld them up, file them, grind them, beat them. I don't fill panel edges with filler. So when I get to doing my dad's truck one day, I got to gap the doors on it still. I took them apart and cut them apart. Yes, I say cut them apart. And I show all that being done, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Okay, that's mucho better. Much better than if I just left it that nasty ground edge. Okay, I just wanted to show that. I still got more grinding to do, so I'll be back. Alright, all those are ground. So now I removed the tubing from this side. I'm going to weld these plug rails on this side. I know you can't see. I guess I can move it. Not that clamp. I guess I can move the camera where you guys can see. So, I've been thinking in my head as I've been working on this and recording this video for this course report, how many hours I've actually spent working on this thing. And the answer is I don't know. I tried many years ago to keep track of stuff like this, and I just never kept up with it. For one thing, it'd probably scare me. Almost like one of those I just don't want to know things. If I was having to charge somebody for this, I don't know what it would cost. Like I think I've talked about this before in a video. I have no idea what the going rate for this stuff is nowadays. I think you can buy replacements. The last time I looked, that was probably last year. I think the last time I looked, these course reports had gotten to $300 and something. And then you got to pay truck freight, like $100 or more truck freight, depending on where you live. Unless you're local to somewhere that has them, which most people aren't. I happen to be close to a summit, but anyway, so figure it's $300 for the course report and $100 to have it shipped. So $450, something like that for the average person. for most people to go buy one. But then that's imported steel. I don't know how good the quality of those are. I haven't seen one of those core supports up close to see how well they're made. I know I bought parts for my dad's truck from what I thought was a reputable source, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings, but it was one that I thought if anybody was going to have quality stuff, their reputation was that. And probably half the pieces I bought from, well, in fact, everything I bought from them, first off, wasn't made by them. It was made by another company in Taiwan. Now, supposedly the Taiwan stuff nowadays is some of the better stuff you can get, according to the internet. So, believe that if you want. But half the pieces I bought didn't fit worth a darn. I had to cut them and bend them and make them fit, and it was still better than starting with nothing. But I can say if I'd had a bead roller and an English wheel, which I still don't have, by the way, I would have made every one of those parts probably from scratch myself. And knowing what I know now, if I ever do it again, I may wind up doing that. But anyway, back to my original point. You know, I've probably got more labor in this thing than $400. Let's just put it that way. And I don't know how much I have, but again, I haven't tried to keep track of hours. I don't know rates and so on. I just don't know, you know, the advantage of fixing this one, of course, is you still got the original core support. 80% of this core support, and maybe even 90%, from the bottom rail up is still GM steel. It's still all original. The only thing that's completely new is the bottom side that I fabbed up. And even pieces of that, you know, this is still original, this is original, this is original. So this core support was unusable the way it was, for sure. But 80 to 90% of this core support is still original core support, still original GM. It'll last 50 more years, especially since I've taken it apart and primed everything. And the bottom is built with galvanized, which was an accident, but it was a happy little accident. Thank you, Bob Ross. So there is an advantage to paying whatever it would have cost to. Say I had to charge a guy $600, and again, I'm just making up numbers, to fix this thing, versus him going and paying $400 for a Chinese import or whatever import. So there is value to that. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Let me get back to the road and get this thing done. I have nothing on eBay searching for people stop parts for these trucks. These C10s, I'm certain. If I find a series, go for a C10. You know, let's say I'm we did part of it. That's why I'm not just end up like that. So, what's this? $600 for down for June? I don't know. Something serious. Thought he was not. So, nothing else to do with nothing I work for. Everybody runs $299. I just charge you charge to make fair. You sell them, you work for. And I do. Everybody runs out of the now we got to I'll lose it like But labor's work. Labor's work. Labor's taking off. I'm not going to try to charge that's out. Just give me off. Labor's taking off. So, I don't know. I'll back down. I'm slower. I'm going to I'm going to I'm going to try to this. Yeah, because I'm doing machine. I'm doing machine. I'm doing machine. I'm doing machine. Yeah, machine. I have an idea. What I'm doing is charging. I'm not going to do it. So there you see that. I'll see what happens. Okay, I'll get you. If I get you. I'm going to I'm going to I'm going to taking this and cheap. I'm going to that's a local history. I'm going to I'm going to change. Here's the car shop. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. So that's from all sorts of extra work. Yeah, bring on the here, I'm trying to get handies lined up. Be good close to each other. No, pretty close. Let's go again. Well, you work perfect. Never feel perfect. I can't. And they're really close. Try not to use that really close. It's hard to be perfect, but it's 99 perfect. Yeah, perfect. For me, it's good. It's supposed to be good. So I'm affecting stuff. Very rarely, like I said, it's good enough. There are times I'm going to use this. Got it. For certain situations. You know, reach. It's just skills. I'm trying to evaluate situations. Okay, this situation is some skills I go for everybody's seen. I'm like, constrained by me. Okay, say that. 7 minutes, whatever, something outside. Everybody shit. Yes, for every time. Maybe not people do it. Make it perfect, perfect. They can do the shield out. You know, like that's what they do that. A lot of people call themselves present, they don't. Call themselves present, they don't. Those are the ones I had checking with, or have a problem with. For sure. Alright, that's the shooting off the way. That's fine. Sit in. That's why I found that side of that gap. So yeah, stick it in good. You guys are really called that. I didn't say as a teacher. Don't know the special one. Sorry, I'll have it, so. Nice, I'm trying to this one, okay. Let's talk. I'll be honest. No, I made it pretty good. Alright, that's pretty good. Couple of small spots I want to hit with the grinder before I weld on anymore. But that's close. So I'm going to need to do some more grinding. But we're 85, 90% welded up now. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, I've got pretty much all the welding done. There may be a spot or two I need to retouch. But for the most part, it's done. So all I'm going to do now, touch up some more grinding. I'll show a little bit of that, but not much. Grinding is grinding. You've seen me grind welds, for sure. Nothing special. I'm good. I got in here. People are around here a little bit more. I got gas in the but I can get too full. Alright. So that's welded in. Got it ground down. The seam welded up here. This is the edge that I filed down I was talking about. Bottom's ground down. You see in here. Everything, welds are all ground. So we are getting down to the end. I still have to make the piece that goes right here, which I've actually already started. I had to wait till I got this welded in before I could get this distance here exact. Let's see. Here's the pieces I already started making. I got the bottom piece here. Which now that I've got this inside piece is definitely not the right length. I got this piece cut here. It's still not the right length to go up here, and then it'll get welded together. I still got to weld this cup on over here for the core support. I got to grind out this hole right here. But we are almost done with this core support, thankfully. Anyway, I'll come back when I have more to show. Thanks.